So what is it that drives our life? What is it that drives our identity? That's the question at which we're going to look. What kind of a being is a human being? See, most of us don't give much thought to it because we think it comes with the territory. We think, yeah, I'm a human being and I'm using being to get along in life. I mean, I'm a human being and I use all those faculties that human beings have to accomplish the things I accomplish in life, to conduct my relationships, to do my job, to pursue the concerns I have in life. Well, there's some bad news about that. You see, human being was here before you ever showed up. Human being was here before you were ever thought of. Maybe, just maybe, human being, because it was already here and already had a direction, already has a thrust, already has a scope of possibility, just maybe human being is using you. See, I know that you and I live that we're using being. But I'm asking you to consider the possibility that you showed up in human being. And it uses you in its direction and its thrust. You don't use it. It already was when you showed up, and it already had a thrust, a scope, a definition. It already was a certain set of options, and those options are using you. You see, we say in everyday language, I think. I say you don't think. And I want you to consider the possibility that you don't think. I want you to stand in that possibility. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not asking you to agree or disagree. I don't want to know what you think about whether you think or not. I'm inviting you to stand in the possibility that it isn't you thinking. Certainly there are thoughts. That's obvious. There are thoughts. Anybody who's alive and is human knows that there is thinking, that there are thoughts. I'm not asking you to consider the possibility that there aren't thoughts. I'm asking you to consider the possibility that it isn't you thinking. I'm asking you to stand in the possibility that it thinks and you have the thoughts. Now, if it's you thinking, if you're really committed to that it's you thinking, then you stop thinking. You notice you can't do that. That's because that isn't you thinking. It thinks. And you have the thoughts it thinks. And you live the superstition that you think. But you don't think, it thinks. And one of the things that it thought up is you. You notice it thinks a lot about you? You are one of its favorite things about which to think.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, fellow decoders, historians, chronologists, cryptocurrency people, whatever the hell your flavor is, welcome to this live episode of Breaking Down Jason Bashir's and his channel Archaix. Some of you may be new here and you're maybe wondering, why is Logan wearing a pair of sunglasses? Well, it's to remind you, or to tell you if this is your first time here, the sunglasses represent that you live inside of a movie. This reality, which has been popularized by, we're in a simulation. Okay, well then you got to define what a simulation means. But the simulation is a movie. You're being watched. And the reason why I had played those things in the beginning was because you live inside of a machine. That's why Pink Floyd, which I broke down, welcome to the machine. You're in it. Jason calls it AIX. And one of his taglines is break free or die trying. And I would probably assume that means that he's not broken free. He wants to. I want to. Both of our names start with Jason. We have different ways that we're going about telling the world. We all have our flavors. And again, the reason why I played that video in the beginning, that was the great Werner Erhard from Landmark, if you've done Landmark, because I believe the voice in your head owns you. You don't own it. And it's called it, right? You can call it AIX, you can call it whatever the hell you want to call it. You can call it God, you can start to name a deity attached to it. That is what uses you in your life. You're an instrument in this reality and no one gets a hall pass. And when you become aware of these facts, for me anyway, as my truth, you realize that when you surrender, you don't need to get out there and prove your truth. Because one of the things that Landmark teaches you is that everybody's right. Even the people that you think are wrong. Because that's the machine. The machine, let me just take these off. The machine runs the whole gamut. It runs everything, including you and me. And in order for the game to have excitement, it needs chaos, and then it establishes order. Jason comes in, and his position on the world stage is to show you the chronology, the numbers, the data sets, and all the great things that he's brought to the world stage. And, because of it, he has a lot of persecution. I got a lot of persecution from just coming on here and doing this decode, because people are like, oh, what about his past? And what about it? The guy that I met in San Diego was a super nice person, and I got to sit down with him, and he was just a great person to be around. I'm not concerned what he did 26 years ago. And if you're still stuck there, that means you're living in the past. And that's pretty miserable life. So this decode on Archaix and Jason is all about love. And I'm going to encourage all of you to focus on love yourself. Like, this is not about bashing anybody. I'm not here to try to prove anybody wrong. These things that I'm going to show you are my truths. And my position on the world stage is one of a decoder. And I use a lot of layers to decoding: mathematics, tarot, the cards of illumination, typical playing deck of cards, alchemy, the periodic tables, science, sine and cosine waves, pi and phi. Some of the things Jason uses, I use. And today being Pi Day, it's day number 73, and in leap years, it's day number 74. 73 and 74, when you add those up, you're going to get 147. And those are the numbers, according to Manly P. Hall, of Lucifer. Oh my God. Logan's the Prince of Darkness. You're going to get a whole bunch of you assuming you think you know who I am, what I'm all about, and maybe you'll say I'm an asshole, or maybe you don't like me because of my hair, or because I got a Jaguar behind me, or whatever the case may be. The little voice in your head, anything outside of that you don't want to agree with, you're going to start to postulate these assumptions, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't really care. I'm not here. I'm here to show you that everybody in this reality is being used without exception. That includes the people that created the MK Ultra program. I did a decode on MK Ultra, and I showed clearly that MK Ultra, Alan Doles, who created the program, was being used to create the program. Nobody in this reality gets a hall pass, folks. I don't care what level you're at. You could be a higher monarchy. You could be in the queen. You could be the king. You can be at the round table. You could be this. I don't care what layer you are. I've decoded so many of them, and the results continually come back with the same patterns. And the patterns are this reality uses everybody. And we live in a movie. It's a game. And we've been told through many movies and songs that's exactly what's going on. From the movie Tron, the 1982 movie, to the Tron 2010 with Jeff Bridges, to Stranger Things, to Westworld, the band Pink Floyd, Welcome to the Machine. Pink Floyd equals 39 in numerology. The word computer equals 39 in numerology. You're going to see, I'm going to use all these layers to show you how all this stuff works. So without further ado, let me get my cursor turned on here. Hang on a sec, folks. And I got a lot of slides, man. I got to tell you, I have like 5 topics. So here we go. Let's jump into this. I hope all of you are ready for this, because this one will leave no doubt in your mind of what I'm saying. And again, you don't have to agree with me, but I want you to consider what I'm going to show you. So this is my statement here, is that you see, your truth is the only truth that matters, and it's not selfish. It's designed specifically for you. That's why when you look at an astrological chart, which I'm going to be showing Jason's and his channel Archaix that he created on January 8th, I'm going to show you how it was in the stars. Whether that thing's not real or not, it's still projecting, and it's causing the machine to work. So this is what we're going to start with, this right here, okay? And these are the methodologies that I will be using for this presentation of Decoding Jason and the Archaix channel. I'm going to be using astrology. I'm going to be using mathematics. I'm going to be using tarot. I'm going to be using the deck of playing cards. I'm going to be using alchemy. Okay? I have a decode coming out on Khufu, using all these layers and methodologies. I was too lazy to create a new one, but this is what we're going to be doing for this presentation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you right now, again, you're on television. Today's card, by the way, March 14th. This is it. It's the 9 of diamonds, which is the 9 of pentacles. This is card number 73. Because that's exactly, they tried to tell you in the Truman Show. He lived in house number 36. The word operating equals 36. He has the initials JC, which is Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ equals 36. And the 21st card in the major arcana is called the world card. That's because you went down in a hole to play the game. And it may just be spirit playing you. Maybe a star in the sky is playing you. But they've been trying to tell the machine's been trying to tell you that you're on television and you're doing your job. You don't have to like some people's jobs, but that's just the way it is. Okay? And so I'm going to give you 2 slides to support what I'm saying here. And this is like, again, try to use logic and critical thinking here. Now, this is a snapshot of the Truman Show off Amazon Prime. And this scene right here is exactly when Christoph says you're on television. And I paused it. And I looked at the timestamp. And it was 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 29 seconds. And that gives us a total of 64. And how big is the 64? How many squares on a chessboard? How many possible codons in your DNA? Well, when you go to alchemy to get the picture and to bridge it, to support that you're on television, the 64th element is called gadolinium, the GD element, the God element, and the icon they chose, the Royal Society of Chemistry, was a television screen. Why? Because gadolinium was used for television screens back in the day. So we have mainstream, we have television, we have the squares on a chessboard, we have the possible codons in the DNA, and we have the television tied to you being on television when Christoph from the moon, by the way, he was on the moon, Ed Harris, and he also played in the show Westworld. He was the man in black. Okay, all of these are clues telling you that you're inside of a movie, and everybody's playing their part, including Jason. Okay, so these are just big humdingers to start this thing off, but let's get into that was the intro. But now let's have some fun. Let's break down Jason and his channel Archaix, and these are the 5 topics that I'm going to discuss tonight. Number 1, simulation. Of course, that's what he started with. His first video on his Archaix channel was simulation theory. Number 2, AIX, which is the machine. Number 3, he went to prison. So did I. You're going to hold that against me? Some people hold it against him. Where's the love in this world? I just don't know, or the forgiveness. Number 4, the 138, which he's really brought to the limelight, which is tied to the Phoenix. I'm going to show you what this is tied to. It's tied to the movie. And then I'm going to break down his astrological chart along with his astrological chart of the starting date of Archaix on January 8th, 2017, when he first created his YouTube channel. So I'm going to tell you, he didn't create the YouTube channel. The YouTube created him. Because this guy right here, like everybody else, is being used like a little actor or actress on the world stage. He's not in control of his life. And I'm going to support that. I'm not going to use the word prove. I don't like using that word, but I'm going to support it. Like if I were to show up to court, this would be my discoveries. Okay, so let's get into the first topic called simulation, which is what, his channel really started it all off on. And, William Shakespeare, the famous poet, he had said all the world's a stage. Even the band Rush with their song Limelight, all the world's a stage and we are merely players. Well, how coincidental is it that William Shakespeare equals 59 and the game of life equals 59 in the same numerology cipher? You think this is a mere coincidence? Trying to tell you the story. And William has the W, and this W is tied to the AIX, and I'm going to show you that sometime during this presentation. So the 59 goes right into Jason's first video on YouTube. It was called Simulation Theory. It was 6 minutes and 10 seconds long. That's tied to Prometheus, by the way, which is what AIX is. Prometheus, which are the engineers that live underground, and that's tied to the game of life. Because this reality, yes, it's a simulation, but it's a movie, and you're being watched, and it's called the game of life. Now, maybe you made that decision to come play this game, because there's more fun playing than watching if you saw the show Squid Game. And even these fun words that you can play with the same numerology cipher, 59, 59, 59, these are reduced down to the number 5. Why do you think you have 5 fingers, 5 toes, and 5 senses? 5 is the number that looks like the letter S. And S is the sun and the sine wave, which is what you're stuck in. That's the prison. That's what he says, break free or die trying. You're in the sine wave. I'm going to show you how deeply embedded this is in his life. So we go to theology. Jason was raised as a Baptist, I think, and he had to break free from that. But there's a reason why the Roman Catholics have a rosary that's made up of 59 beads. Well, now you know why. Because it's tied to the simulation, and it's tied to the game of life, and it's tied to contract with God. Okay? You don't have to be a Catholic to see these things. Now you have the eyes to see it. And then when we go further, ladies and gentlemen, we go into the prison. This right here, we go to alchemy. We connect the 59 tied to simulation theory to this element called praseodymium. And the icon chosen for this element is the Gemini logo, which is the 3rd zodiac sign. And it's the prison bars, which kind of looks like the pi symbol. And you can see that one of its isotopes is 141. What is 141? It's pi. So you have the 59 beads in the rosary of Catholicism. you have the 59th element, and you have the prison bars here. And how's Jason tied into this? Well, his name is 17, and the Greek letter pi through the old style, the modern is going to move it to digit 16, pi is 17. So you see, this is the prison, which is Earth. Earth is the perfect circle, which is pi. That's why you can measure pi with the never-ending perfect circle. And then you can see that 59 through mathematics is 17. So I would bet my life Jason didn't even connect this. 17 is the 7th prime number. You have 7 chakras, and then 7 is the 4th prime number, and there are 4 blood types. How deep do you want me to go with this? I have over 500 videos showing all this stuff through countless topics, decoding people, places, and things. This is how tight he is in the code. He's a character on the board trying to tell you some things. His mainstay was history and chronology, and he had to serve a 26-year stint to study all that stuff. I'm going to show you the connecting point. So on the periodic table, there are certain words that you can spell out, and one of them is prison. Interestingly enough, the 2 elements that represent the air that we breathe, 79% nitrogen, 21% oxygen. And they're in the word prison. Sulfur, which is tied to hell. The word hell is 16. The I am, you say a lot, I this and I that, but it spells out the word prison right there. And this is, Jason went to prison, so did I. And I'm going to show you in his astrological chart, and this is why the tagline, and again, did he come up with this? Well, my answer is no, it came up with him. It chose him. The voice in his head came up with this, which is using him, just like your voice is using you, to show your truth. And it's exclusively for you. Which, obviously, he had to go to prison to kind of maybe experience these kinds of things. So here's the break free or die trying, the numerology of it, the 67. And I want to point out really quickly, because I got corrected on this. This is one of his aliases, by the way. If you go to his criminal history, this is one of his aliases. So a lot of people ask me, what if I change my name? It becomes part of your code. So even though this is not his birth certificate name, it's one of his aliases, and there's the connecting point. This is not by accident. This is not a coincidence. There's the reason why this chose him to say that, why he had to go through all those and being stuck in the prison. Okay? So here's where it gets really juicy, super juicy. And I want to digress and tell all of you, Jason didn't even know I was going to do this decode. I didn't want to tell him, because I just wanted to put it out there and support him and show you the code. And so some of the things I may show you, he may not agree with me. Him and I don't agree upon everything. And I can confidently tell you, I don't have it all figured out. And I can tell you right now, he doesn't have it all figured out. He doesn't have all the truth. I don't have all the truth. We have our truth. We display what we want to do. But I want to clearly tell you, ladies and gentlemen, he may not agree with some of this stuff. And that's totally fine. I don't want everybody to agree. But this is his birth certificate name. Now, big shout out to Dawn, because Dawn's the one who and somebody else in my Patreon corrected me, but Dawn came on and she told me, hey, this is his birth certificate name. And I'm glad she did, because Dawn is another word for morning. And this is how scripted Dawn is with Jason. And I'm going to show you that. So, is it possible that the black sun, is AIX? And is it possible that this black sun shoots out light like a flashlight and creates the white sun and then the moon? Well, there's videos floating around on this exact model. I even talked to Santos, the great Santos Bonacci, yesterday, and we were conversing about this. And Santos says, yeah, this is Saturn. I'm trying to get a podcast with him to talk about this. But you see, this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is tied to the AIX. It's the big W. That's why you have www. The internet. Why was the W chosen? The 23rd letter in the alphabet. Why was the W chosen? Well, again, you can see the connecting points. His name is 74. This element called tungsten, which is called wolfram, that's why they have a W on there, There's the 138 for the atomic isotope. It's average. It's a permutation of that. And now you can see, and I can tell you right now, do you think Jason knew this? I bet he didn't even know it. But there's the 138 right there, permutation of it through tungsten and its average isotope. And I'm going to show you beyond a shadow of a doubt the connecting points now with this, with the big W and the AIX perhaps, because this is what this is alluding to, the AIX here. So it gets into, and why I mentioned Dawn. So Dawn, if you're listening, thank you so very much for correcting me on the name, and that was all I needed. Because you see, this is Lucifer's sigil. And this just may be the way it looks. And you see, Lucifer's called the son of the morning. And another word for morning is dawn. Now, I'm not saying dawn's Lucifer, but I'm just telling you is that Lucifer's part of the machine. And you can see when you do the numerology of this word, this element tungsten, it becomes part of the simulation. These are really big deals now, ladies and gentlemen. And so I'm going to get into tungsten. I'm going to show you how Jason is not having choices in his life like you think. And this, to me, is absolute ironclad support for that. So now you know his name is 74, so he's tied to tungsten, which is tied to the big W, and maybe AIX is that black sun under the ground creating the simulation. Okay, you see all these things here. So these are the two dudes that discovered tungsten, Fausto and Juan. Fausto and Juan were the ones that discovered tungsten. And when you take their birthdays and you add them up, you get 26. Fausto on the 11th, Juan on the 15th. 26 is tied to the word prison. It's also tied to the word source. It's also tied to the word infinity, which this reduces down to the number 8, and the 8's the infinity symbol, which is the prison that we are all stuck in. But wait, there's more. What happens when we add on Jason's birthday? Jason born on the 9th of June. We get the 35 and we get the simulation. You see what I'm saying, folks? How's this even possible? Well, because this was already written before he ever got birthed into this world in 1973, because these guys came around 200 years ago. Now, whether or not this is manipulated or, listen, folks, everything inside this system is all part of the same source. You can call it manipulation. You can say, oh, that's not right, or they changed this. Listen, man's not running this reality, period. So it doesn't matter. This reality can't be red roses and red carpets and unicorns and people pushing themselves in the bushes having a good time all the time. It's not like that, folks. You need chaos in this reality. You need division. That's what creates energy and sparks of energy to keep it interesting. That's called dirty laundry. And if you want the biggest humdinger of them all for this, to finish up this part of it, when I take their numerology through their names, we get 186, which just so happens to be one of the 4 stable isotopes of tungsten, 186. Coincidence? Is this a mere coincidence? Am I stretching things? You're going to be the judge of that. You're going to have to be the judge of it. Okay? Even his last name is 28. It's just 28%. The subtleties, but they're there. This is all source code, like someone writing code. Whoever wrote this code writes the code, and then we have to live it out. We call it a simulation. Simulation has already been written. Whoops. I think I just have this out of order. Hold on, folks. So let's get into the next topic now. AIX. Artificial Intelligence X. So I'm going to start here. And you can see it's a number 7. 1 plus 1 plus 5. 7. Why? Chaldean, the oldest known numerology on the planet. That's why I use it. Top dog cipher. If you're new to numerology, you should probably look at Chaldean. Not the only one, but to me, it has superiority over all the other ones. That's my opinion, though. So let's go somewhere with this number 7. What happens when I say the number 7? We get 24. And do you remember what that 24 was? Tied to the machine. Welcome to the machine. 7 chakras. 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 days of the week, 7 planets in the classical lineup from the sun to Saturn. How much more? 7 archons. How much more do you want to see with this? Letter X, the 24th letter, he calls it AIX. And then, could it be that the machine is Chronos? Chronos is where we get chronographic watches from, which is time. The devil, Satan, is time, because over time, you will sin. And that's why I say be the best little devil you can be. Of course, this reduces down to the number 6, which is probably one of the reasons why Saturn has the hexagon on top of one of the North Poles, on top of the North Pole. And why beehives have hexagons in them, because we're inside the hive. Okay? So going back to the AIX, this is where it gets super interesting, right? Removing the number 7, just let's look at these digits, the single digits, 1, 1, 5. And it's going to connect to this element right here called Moscovium. Now, this is a super interesting element because if you're somebody who has watched Area 51 and Bob Lazar really brought this out into the limelight, because Bob Lazar says that this element is what makes UFOs move. Okay? And when you do the numerology of Moscovium, it's directly matching the word Elohim. Elohim. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. This alluding to that we are created from underground. See, the black sun is 25, just like the word father's 25, just like the word artificial's 25, just like Elohim in the Chaldean is 25, 25, 20. And these are all going to reduce down to the number 7, just like the word AIX is going to be a 7. So if I don't get it here, I'm going to get it here. I'm going to get it here. And so here you have the W, the wolf. Feed the wolf, tungsten, which is he's connected right to it through his name numerology. And it's tied right to Area 51. You see the latitude, longitude, another big layer as a decoder, looking at like where you live. Wherever you live in the world, you should know your coordinates, and you should try to figure out what the numbers mean in relation to your code. Well, Area 51, look at the longitude, 115. And Bob Lazar was there and said that this is what makes spacecrafts move, Moscovium. And the latitude north is rubidium. And rubidium and Moscovium, they tie directly to the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, which is the Israelite God of the Bible, and the Elohim, let us make man in our image. Are these one and the same? Did the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh create the Elohim, and then the Elohim create us? The word source equals 26. The word prison, which is where I went and Jason went, and I can tell all of you, every single one of you, you're in prison, because Earth is a prison. And you ain't getting out till you die. It's a fun prison, though. One of the reasons why the pyramid, the Great Pyramid of Khufu, has a 51-degree slope. You think it has anything to do with this? Absolutely it does. I have a big decode coming out on Khufu, but if you haven't checked this out on my YouTube, please do so. I brought all this out, showed all this stuff. And Jason and I did a podcast together. I don't even know, it was last year. I messaged him, and I came into my mind, and we talked about it. We both had postulated that ancient technology has been underground. It survives the cataclysm. It survives the Phoenix event. And then when it's time for the human beings to emerge again, then the technology comes out. Well, maybe it's just the machine below the earth. We can't rule that out, ladies and gentlemen. At this point, you can't rule anything out. Okay? And I know that this place is off limits for a reason. Just like Los Alamos in New Mexico, there's been so many stories. I know some of these may have been staged and all that stuff, but not all of them. And there's a reason why they call it Groom Lake. What does the word groom mean? Grooming people. This is all tied to cloning. The cloning is all about this in my Area 51 Decoded. So that was AIX. So let's get into the next topic now, called prison, which he served a long part of it, and he made lemonade out of it, which I have a lot of respect for. That's what I did. I got a 24-month sentence. How about that? I got a 24-month sentence. Machine is 24. My name's Jason. His name is Jason. He got 26 years. You think this is all accident? Well, let me show you the connecting points. Why he didn't have a choice. He was bound to do it no matter what. That's why when those of you that are sitting there pointing the finger, thinking you're better, that you got no dirt on you and you got no skeletons, you may want to think twice about trying to cast the stones. But you can see that it was in his code. Convicted on April 23rd, and what did he do when he went into prison? He started to study history. See? He was supposed to. Started to study history. Convicted in 1991. 19 and 91 are permutation or palindromes. These are big numbers. I'm not going to get into those right now. He was born on June 9th. So we have 23 when he got convicted, and we have the 9th. We bring the two numbers together, we get 239, and that's a prime number. That's a really big deal prime number because it's tied to this word right here, or these words. See, he went to prison. He got 26 years. Now you know why. He's living out a scripted reality. 52, when you go to the periodic table, and you look at the 52nd element, look what it is. It's Earth. Prison planet. Okay? These are all connections for you to look at and to consider. So April 23rd, when he got convicted, the 113th day of the year, that's a prime number. The 30th prime number, which ties to these two words right here. What do you think the Archaix is? What do you think's running this reality? The Gnostics called it the demiurge. That's called Enki and Enlil, by the way. That's the demi meaning two. Enki and Enlil is the combination of the demiurge. Santa Claus is 30. Jehovah is 30, the New Age name, which keeps you trapped in the nightmare. You know the movie Zero Dark 30? These are all clues. So the 113 and the 30 tied to the conviction date. And it's tied to role play. See, because that's exactly what each and every one of us are living through. You're living through a role. You're a character on the board, and you're a puppet on strings. I know some of you are not going to accept that because you think you're just only you. There are going to be a few of you that think that you have all this control in your life because you can't accept the fact that you're being role played. And again, I'm not saying this has to be true for you, and I stand in my research. But I don't have it all figured out. I can honestly and authentically tell all of you that. But these things, to me, solidify the position here, okay? That you're in hell and you're being role played. Earth is hell, okay? And this is why I know the majority of you have said this. Yeah, everything happens for a reason. Well, when you say that magic spell, that becomes the 113, which is the 30th prime number. And the reason why everything happens for a reason is because you're being role played. You're not in control of your reality. So just go do you. Because last time I checked, if you're playing sports, defense doesn't win a game. Offense does. You don't need to defend your truth. You just need to go live it. That's all that matters. You cherry pick from this person and that person, and ultimately you're the star of the show. So just go do you. That's the beautiful part about it. The card that is tied, the playing card that's tied to April 23rd, his conviction date, is the Jack. See the J there? The Jack. Jack stuck in the box. There's a fast food restaurant, those of you that are in the U.S., called Jack in the Box. I did a decode on it. Alice in Chains sang the song Man in the Box. You think that's all coincidence? Those are all tied together. So Jason is in the box, you're in the box. He ends up going into a fractal down into the prison, convicted into another box. And this card is the 24th card in the deck. So he's, again, welcome to the machine. Archaix. So did he choose Archaix or did it choose him? Well, my answer is it chose him. And he's living out his part, and he's the star of his own movie. And he's doing a phenomenal job at what he does. He's amazing at it. I really admire his intelligence. And like I said, I got to meet him. So anyway, how about the day of the year for his conviction and the day of the year for his birthday. April's 1st. So between April and June, 47 days. Scripted reality is 47. Scripted is 30. Demiurge is 30. Scripted, 30. Scripted. Scripted. Everything happens for a reason because it's scripted. You're living in a movie. You're not in control of this movie, this reality. 47. Tetragrammaton is 47. The Yod-Heh Vav, that's the Yod-Heh Vav, that's 47. So it really comes down to the bridge with alchemy. You ever heard that saying that if you're in Hollywood, you're on the silver screen? Well, yeah, that's because Earth is a movie set. And silver, one of its isotopes is 107, which just so happens, coincidentally, to be Jason's life path in numerology. When you add up all the digits, you get 107. Telling you, you're inside of a movie, folks. You're on the silver screen. So the next time you draw the shades and think you're going to do the yoo-hoo behind scenes and no one's looking, trust me, you're being watched. I can guarantee you. And then you just remove that 0 and there's Jason right there, the 107. 107 is going to reduce down to the number 8. The number 8 is tied to the word prison. He had no choice. He had no choice. Okay? So there it is. Prison is 26, reduces down to the number 8. The number 8 is 18, just like the word Archaix. So again, did he choose this name or did that name choose him? Well, I mean, again, I'm not mixing any of these numerology ciphers like a lot of other decoders do to give you more chances. I'm just using one. That's it. To show you the source code playing out here. The word Jesus equals 18. The word Christ equals 18. What do you think we all are? You're all Jesus having the Christ experience. The word Adam is going to give you the tied to the number 18. Because 18 is going to reduce down to the number 9, and that's what Adam is. The first man is going to reduce down to the number 9. Okay? That's what all this stuff means. And this is what it alludes to here. The prison is the infinity symbol, and it's created by the sun. As the sun moves along the equator during the vernal equinoxes, here's the spring equinox, here's the summer solstice, here's the winter, the fall equinox, and the summer solstice. It forms a diamond shape. Lucy in the sky with diamonds, which is connected to Lucifer, which is connected to Jesus, which is the prison. As it moves through time, it creates a wave. It creates a wave, which is the infinity symbol, which is what we are all in. You're in prison. It's a fun one though, right? If you want to get mad at it, well then you're gonna be a miserable life. You gotta make lemonade. You gotta figure out your code. What you came here to do, what you're born to do. And lastly for this topic, here's Jason's birth card. The 8 of diamonds. There's the 8. The infinity symbol. Goes to prison. Gets a 26-year stint. And what fits right over this? The sigil of Lucifer. The light bringer. Lucifer is the son of the morning, otherwise known as the dawn. This is why he has a girlfriend named Dawn. I don't even know what Dawn's birthday is, but I bet if I found it, I could connect it and show you how ridiculously scripted her life is with him. Lucifer is 28. 107 is the 28th prime number, and Jason's life path is 107. So you see, this character, this title, is not what you think it is. It's not what you've been programmed with. There's much more to it than meets the eye. You got to start decoding. You got to start getting rid of and being a nihilist and getting rid of the programming that you were given growing up from the pastor or the church or whatever you were raised in. Because it's not what you think it is. It's much different. Much, much different. All right, so let's get into the next topic now, the 138. The 138. We are 138. You know that song by the Misfits, right? I decoded that, did a short on that, tied to serial killers, tied to Gematria, the killing name, the 138. But let's talk about Jason's Archaix channel. He joined on January 8th, 2017. So I'm going to decode that. Well, January 18th in the Western world is written 1/8. There you go. I mean, did he purposely place Archaix and did it on that day? And of course, his fate would have it. I mean, I collected this today. Congratulations, Jason. He's got 138,000 subscribers. I grabbed this before that, but he's now at 138, and I'm doing this decode on him. I had no idea when I had chosen, I didn't choose this day. It chose me to do it for him. This 18's tied to Pandora's box. That's what he's decoding, by the way. All the history books, even the things that are considered deceptive or they're not true, they're fiction or nonfiction, it doesn't matter because the boss that operates this entire reality owns it all. It's a big Ponzi scheme. It's all in Pandora's box. There's pi. You see pi right there, 3.14? It's right there. Pandora's box is pi, the prison. And how is this tied to Archaix? Because of this card right here. The 6 of Spades, which is the January 8th card, which is the 45th card in the deck. What is 6? It's machine, because machine is 24 and 2 + 4 is 6. You see how deep you want to go with this? There's so many more layers that I could show here, and the 6 of Spades converts into the tarot to get the picture. It converts into the 56 card in the deck, and this is all about transversing over waters. It has so many different meanings, but when you're talking about history, you're talking about putting everything in the boat and moving along and showing everybody, and it's all the libraries here. But it's the 56 card in the deck. What's this connected to in alchemy? It's connected to in numerology. The numerology of the day he started this channel. January 8th, 2017, 56. 56. And the final humdinger for this one is this right here. See, you go to, this whole reality is based and bridged in alchemy. That's why you have the Philosopher's Stone and all these because we're made up a lot of these elements. Well, there it is. Barium. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is tied right to ancient Egypt because you got the Ka and you got the Ba. And there's the 138. He didn't know this. I can guarantee you he did not sit down with these layers and purposely and consciously choose this date because of these layers I'm showing you here. It chose him. He's living out his script. It's a pretty glorious one. I mean, he had to go and really, serve a long sentence, but he made lemonade out of it. A lot of people don't do that. So what is the 56? What is the Phoenix tied to, the 138? Well, it's tied to Earth. Now, listen, ladies and gentlemen, don't get your underwear in a bunch because I have the globe here, all right? This is a graphic AI drove for me. All right, I'm not going to get into the flat Earth, round Earth. Please don't sit here and try to accuse this. Listen, it's just trying to illustrate something for you, and I asked it to illustrate Earth being a movie set. Okay? Because it's all about lights, camera, action down here. So all the history, everything, all the chronology, everything that he studies, it was supposed to happen. Even the manipulation, even the deception. There's no such thing as that when you know how the reality works. This whole reality, everything just is. We just label these adjectives as, well, that's deceptive, that's not true. Folks, it's all here to get your attention because this reality needs you as a player on the board. And it uses you as a little actor or actress. And it's all tied to the Phoenix event because after a certain period of time, when these ages change, you have the Phoenix happen. And the Phoenix emerges from inside the Earth, and we're all part of it. All of you are part of the Phoenix event. Every single one of you. If you saw the show called Leave the World Behind, at the very end, Rose grabs the DVD called Friends. It was the last episode. And what day was the last episode of Friends airing on? May 6th. Because it was talking about leave the world behind because change is coming. It's imminent. That's what this whole thing means. So, Now you know what the Phoenix is tied to. More in depth, beyond what he's shown. He's shown some amazing things. I mean, I got 5 Phoenixes tattooed on my arm. I got these 10 years ago. I didn't even know Jason back then. Coincidence? No. So here's where the final nail in the coffin for this topic is. You see, in ancient Egyptian culture and religion, the Ba refers to one of the key components of the soul. The ancient Egyptians believed that each individual possessed multiple aspects of the soul, and the Ba was one of them. The Ba was often depicted as a human-headed bird, representing the individual's personality or unique characteristics. Phoenix. The Ka and the Ba. And let's not forget Ra. Because it's Ra, the Ka, and the Ba. Okay? I got that coming out with the Khufu Decoded. And this is what it's going to look like. It's already happening now. Hyperinflation, prices have gone up 30%. They're ready to crash the markets, real estate market. This is not to fear, ladies and gentlemen. You should get excited about this. You should get your marshmallows out and your graham crackers. Because this is a time for change. We've all been waiting for this, and we're all the Phoenix. Every single one of you is tied to the Phoenix event. Because you're here. You're part of history. The Phoenix represents history and the soul. So now you know what that means. All right, so let's get into the last topic. And I'm going to bring, maybe if you're not somebody who's an astrologer, well, just try to do your best. But if you're into astrology, well, I'm going to show you how the astrological map has a say in ruling over us. So I will be using sidereal astrology, and I will be first showing you the birthday of Jason Bashir's. Keep in mind, he was born on June 9th. That's the 69. That's the yin yang. That's tied to the dark side of the moon. But you see, over here in the prison, remember Gemini, tied to the 59, the prison, they will spell out the word prison. You can see all the energy he's got here. He's got his K2, which is the south node of the moon. He's got his Venus, which represents immortality. He's got his Mercury, which represents the way he thinks. And he's got his Chronos just in tropical. It's going to be in the sign of Gemini. Chronos right there with the sun in Taurus. That's, you can see he looks, astrology and the physicality, he's a big dude. He's got the Taurus look because he's got his sun in Taurus. I know if you push it in tropical, he'll be in Gemini, but I prefer to use the Vedic with the Nakshatras. And the big marker is that he's got his Rahu, his north node of the moon, in the 9th zodiac sign of Sagittarius. Now, I don't know if this is exactly the houses that it would be because I don't know his birth time. I put it, I think, at like 9 a.m., but I don't know. So what may change are the houses, but what will not change are the positions of the celestials. So I'm not going to talk about the 6th house. But what I will talk about is, and tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that my chart, I was born on February 4th, 1973. I, too, have my K2 and Rahu in this Gemini Sagittarius axis. And I went to prison. And you see, when you're in this position, this is going to represent your ultimate desires, what you're a big proponent of. Well, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. And Jupiter's the largest planet, and his Jupiter's in Capricorn. And Capricorn is tied to the prison. That's number one. But the big marker here is this 20th nakshatra. This position is going to force him to study history because 9 is the hermit. It's going to be I'll go back here. It's the hermit. Okay? I'm going to go back to that. It's the hermit. So he is forced to study history, and one of the reasons why he stands in his truth and he likes to debate and all that stuff, because this is an area where Rahu has to be right. Rahu has to be right in everything it does. So this is why he, like Billy Carson is debating all stuff. Well, Billy Carson's right in his own life. He's just a character on the world stage. Who cares? But he does. It's not my life. I don't have to live through it. But this is one of the big markers of why he wants to debate and prove people wrong and say their truth's not the right truth. And because of this. Because you see, Sagittarius can't get it wrong because it's house number 9. And 9 is the machine, and 9 is tied to the devil. The Diabolos is Sagittarius, which is tied to Zeus. Okay? It's tied to Zeus. So you can see that he is in a prison here and he wants to get out. He's in the prison, he wants to get out. Just like I have this here. He wants to get out. And the prison is tied to the 20th nakshatra and the number 9, because number 9 is the devil. He wants to get out of the Diabolos. That's why he's break free or die trying. Wants to get out of it. His channel's called Archaix. It starts with the letter A-R-C-H. What do you think this is? The Archer. Archaix is A-R-C-H. That's the Archer. Okay? He wants to get out. He wants to get out of the television screen. He wants to get out of the movie. This is why Westworld has the same numerology. And why in 1973, he was born in 73, the movie Westworld came out before HBO made it a series. Telling you that you're on television. And it's tied to the skeleton, the skeletal structure. The 20th element on the periodic table tied right to the 20th nakshatra. Purva Ashada. Tied to the bones and teeth of being a human being. Break free or die trying. Wanting to get out. Wanting to get out, you see? And the word criminal is 20. Just like the word duality is 20. So, you know, the interesting part about this, because him and I both had prison sentences, if this is an as above, so below kind of thing, do we go to prison in the as above and we have to serve it in the so below? And once we get through our prison sentences of being a criminal, we then have the layer of judgment. And this judgment means graduation. That's what this card means. You graduate, you leave from one area to the next, and it's right there. His Rahu, his desire is to graduate. That's why he's so adamant about showing his history, his chronology, his books, his ways of thinking, his truth. He's showing you he's influencing people. He's an influencer, like we all are. Everybody here you influence people. You shake your hand. Hi, my name's Logan. You're influencing people. You're marketing. Okay? That's what this looks like. And it's tied to the bag of bones. So criminal and duality. Maybe if you're a criminal in the spiritual realm, maybe you got to come down here and you got to play out a role as a character. And now you're stuck in duality and you're going to die. So when you look at, we bring mathematics in this, because this is part of the source code. You guys and gals know that pi is the prison. It's Earth. Well, where's that number 20 sit in the string of the pi? 3.144? 307 digits. I have to go 307 digits to get to that number 20. And look at what the total is. Another permutation of pi. I mean, are you kidding me? How many more layers do we need to see here that Earth is the prison? Okay? And 307 digits is the marker here. So I'm going to look at that. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to place it into mathematics. And is 307 a big deal? Absolutely it is. It's the 63rd prime number, which ties to the 63rd tarot card, which is the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords is the Queen of Spades. And this Queen of Spades, ladies and gentlemen, is Jason Bashir's spirit card. Because this right here is his birth card. And I'm going to show you. Actually, I don't have it, damn it. But anyway, this is his spirit card that pairs with his birth card. Most of you will have two primary cards. Your ego card and your spirit card. And the tarot and the conversion of that, you could see the value in this and the undeniability of this man's code. The word flower of life is 63. What do you think he's decoding? All the history and chronology tied to the flower of life, which is the net that surrounds the earth. The Egyptians talked about this. The net, which is the flower of life, which is the matrix. And you're in it. And it's the machine. Matrix is 17. Jason is 17. Life is 17. Story is 17. So many different layers to take into consideration. So now I'm going to break down his astrological chart for when he started Archaix. Again, I picked 9 a.m. I don't know what time it was, so the houses may not be relevant, but the celestial positions will. And You can see his Saturn is in the 18th nakshatra in Scorpio, which represents the occult and hidden matters. That's what he's all about. And Archaix is 18. Right there. Okay. When he started his YouTube channel. And then the biggest marker of them all was going back to that Sagittarius again. And you can see this is a big deal that he has his sun, his spirit, literally on top of Pluto. And Pluto is tied to Prometheus, which is tied to the underworld, which is tied to the Elohim, which is tied to Lucifer, which is tied to the machine, which is tied to the underground aliens, which is tied to the television, which is tied to Westworld. And what does this mean right here, folks? Well, the phoenix is going to emerge from under the ground. Now, there may be a solar flash, but the sun may create a solar flash, there may be a plasma event and all that stuff, but the phoenix and the wiping of the board and the cataclysms, they're all created from under the earth. That's what this is saying. The research is showing. And he's got his Pluto, which represents the underworld, with the sun right there. Will a new sun emerge from the bottom of the earth? You know, in Revelation, if you're a fan of theology, it clearly says that the sun will be no more. And the moon will not give off any of its own light. That's what it says in Revelation if you're somebody who studies theology. I know theology really well. Well, is there something new that's coming out here? I mean, he's got it in his layer of graduation. I mean, folks, there's so much here. I'm not going to get into all this stuff, but the markers here are undeniable with astrological position. And the hermit, which is what he lives the life of. Because remember, his Rahu is in Sagittarius. And I told you already that this nakshatra right here in Sagittarius is a life of the hermit. It's a life of study. It's a life of philosophy. It's a life of history. It's a life of chronology. Anything that tinkles with the mind, you're going to be a fan of. That's why he loves it. Books, reading, studying. That's what he did when he had his 26-year stint. Studied. He made lemonade out of it. And now he's projecting his truth onto the world stage. He's literally becoming this hermit, or he has become the hermit, and now he's sharing his light in a bucket to everybody. And you can see the hermit is the simulation, because the simulation is what is light. That's why the light is in the lantern. And he's all about the simulation theory. This is his Archaix channel. Uncovering life's hidden mysteries. Pluto represents the underworld, which is where AIX would be. Uncovering it and shining the light on it right there. Pluto and the sun. In the 9th zodiac sign, which is the hermit. Sharing the wisdom with the world. These are big deals here. Beyond this, beyond even this stuff right here. And he wants to be free. Break free, 20, or die trying. Criminal, 20. Duality, 20. Pawn, 20. Mason, 20. Jesuit, 20. They're all 20s. Those people don't get hall passes. They're all being mind controlled. Every single human being is being MK Ultra'd. But you want to break free. That's why they call themselves the Freemasons. Free. I want to be free of the devil, because the devil is Sagittarius. Because Diabolos came from the Greek, and Diabolos is the number 9 in Greek numerology. It's Sagittarius, because it's the number 9, and the number 9 is the last number in the lineages of the numbers. Okay, so he wants to break free of the machine. Right here, look at this cluster of energy. Venus, Neptune, Mars, Ketu, is Chiron. His Chiron is in the 25th nakshatra. That's artificial. He wants to break out of the artificial machine. Are we going to do it? Is that even going to happen? Well, time will tell, as they say. But my final answer is that this gentleman, this fine gentleman, is living out his purpose. He's living out his life. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with him. I got a lot of people, oh, you're going to decode him. He did this and that, and he says he's going to do this to people, and he didn't. Like, I could care less. It's not my life. But what I wanted to show, because he's, I've been, listen, Santos and I did a podcast with him. Let me go back on camera here. Santos and I did a podcast with him way back in the day, like 3 years ago, maybe. and I think he had 1,000 followers. And I sat there and Santos was pretty quiet, so I had to engage with him, and I thought I was like, wow, this guy's onto something. I really liked what he had to say. And then I just watched him grow, and he just freaking blew the doors off of stuff. And now you get people saying, oh, he's an agent, or he this, or he's this. Like, how do you know this? It's just, where is this world going to? Oh, it's a she, and it's a male, and who gives a shit? What are you doing with your life? God, man, people, ladies and gentlemen, you're not running this reality. Nobody's running this reality, but whatever has created this reality is running it, including the people that think they have a position that's higher than yours. They don't. I've decoded them all. Society of Jesus, Central Intelligence Agency. I've decoded all the MK Ultra, all the big topics, and the conclusion and the numbers are crystal clear, and that is we live in a scripted reality, and man's not running this reality. That is my final answer. Now, will that change? Time will tell. But I can tell you honestly, my own life, my life up to this day, today, it was scripted, showing me the script. And it continues to show me scripts. It continues to tell me that I'm being used as an instrument to tell you all these things. My role is to be a tour guide. I did a reading for somebody. Her name was Tiffany. Tiffany, much love to you. And she says, Logan, you're a tour guide. And it kind of stuck. And that's kind of what fits the narrative of my life. And I'm not asking you to believe everything that I'm telling you. Some of you that are new to this, you may not know what all that stuff means. And you're like, oh yeah, you connected this. And listen, don't refute it because you don't understand it. It's like kind of me trying to show you trigonometry and you're still learning your multiplication tables. Don't tell me trigonometry and the formulas don't work. You got to study that stuff and then make your determination. But I have over 500 videos decoding bands, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, Prince, Michael Jackson, Pink Floyd, Twisted Sister, Living Colour. All these bands did not have a choice. They all were destined to become band members and play music. Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne. It doesn't matter. Everybody has a role in this movie. So the big thing to take out of this is just go do you. Figure out what the hell you're doing here. Figure out what your code is. Stop trying to prove people wrong because they're just doing them, and just go do you. Because this reality works on magic, and magic, straight up, ladies and gentlemen, is the exchange of energy. That's why you'll never see me pay attention to the mainstream, very little. I don't it's all a show. Because I'm not going to give my energy to the Republican Party, the Democratic Party. They don't deserve my energy. And I'm definitely not going to go debate anybody because they're going to get my energy. No thanks. My energy is too precious. I'm not going to give you my energy. I don't need to prove you wrong so I can be right. I know what my code says. I don't believe I know, just like you should know instead of believing. Anybody that's not part of your reality, don't pay attention to it anymore. They're going to implode if they're destined to implode with or without you. But the last time I checked again, offense is what wins the game of life. Putting points on the board, scripted or not. And that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in showing people, my position is to show you how this reality works. I'm not going to tell you how to play it. I ain't going to tell you how to play it. That's up to you to figure out. But if you're somebody who's willing to look at your code through astrology and numerology and all the ties that I showed you, you're going to see that you're living through a predestined, scripted reality. I got 5 Phoenixes tattooed on my arm. I got these 10 years. My parents had a Pontiac Phoenix, 1976, a silver one with red interior. I was a JW. I grew up in the Jehovah's Witness organization, which is the God of the Bible. I just showed you what all that stuff was. Part of the machine. And this whole reality is a Ponzi scheme, meaning that all the religions are owned by the same boss. All the characters are owned by the same boss. All of them, all the saviors, all the heroes, they're all owned by the machine owns it all. And the machine gives you out variety. So it'll give you options. I often joke, I say, a rich woman's closet, that's God. You walk into a rich woman's closet, she's got every damn thing under the sun. That's God. God has every option possible if you want to say it's God. It owns it all, folks. Everything. It's a Ponzi scheme. All right, well, let's get into some of your comments. And we pop out the chat here, and let's see if we can take a look at what all of you so we have some Santo stuff in here. Yeah, I mean, listen, folks, you know, I love Santos like a brother. I don't agree with his behavior all the time. I've told him that straight up. But he knows that I'm coming from a place of love and my intentions are pure. I don't have any hate energy. So he's going through a rough patch in life. I mean, okay, great, but I'm not going to excuse what he's done for the world. I mean, go watch My Second Coming of Christ. He's tied right to it. I mean, he was born in the 24th. Machine equals 24. What do you think's running him? He knows it. He knows it. So when you get good at this, reality and saying, observing this reality, you'll know that you're not in control of your reality, but you may have a little wiggle room with free will. I'm hoping that we have some, but we have a little wiggle room to make the decision on, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to pay attention to that. It doesn't deserve my energy. And you see, I'm all about bliss and harmony in my life. I don't want negativity. I'm not living in my lower chakras. I'm not interested in that. I want to be left alone. I live a life of a hermit. I'm a decoder. I have the same Rahu position as Jason does. So a lot of what he's doing, I'm doing. But when you really come to an understanding of how this reality works, it's feeding off of you. It's using you. And the best thing that you can do is, we're moving into the age of Aquarius, is to I know thyself, to know yourself, to figure out what the hell you're doing here, what your incarnation is. And when you start to look at that, whether you do it yourself, I have a course coming out, you get a reading from somebody, you're going to see that you have a script that you should be playing along with. And then you got kids. If you got kids, man, you should be decoding your children, because they could grow up to win the world save the world one day, win the Nobel Prize, save millions of lives. I just don't know. I will choose free will. Yeah, I mean, free will equals 33. Free is 20. 20 is duality. So do we have free will? And then will is 13, and the word game equals 13. Do we have any free will? Well, go start studying Michael Sapolsky's information. Michael Sapolsky says in his videos, you don't have any free will. You think you do, but you don't. Your life's already been planned and mapped out long before you got here, which is why I played that video in the beginning. If you really start to think about it, ladies and gentlemen, the voice in your head, that owns you. And there's no way around that. We have a lot of eclipse stuff coming in. A lot of energy going to be in Pisces. Pisces being what it means to be a human being. April 8th. What's interesting is, and that's the total eclipse of the heart. Bonnie Raitt sang that song, Total Eclipse of the Heart. She was born on June 8th. 2 months later, she sang this. That's the total eclipse of the heart. I don't like to do predictions, but probably just like every other eclipse, nothing will happen. But, I'm not going to stay in that position because I just don't like doing predictions. When you get them wrong, you get crucified. I've made the mistake. And I say mistake because that's the adjective I'll use so you can understand what I'm saying. I've made predictions which haven't planned out, and then people just crucify you for it. And again, my foundation is you're being used. You're not in control of this reality. So it's like there are no mistakes. You're just here for the ride. You're along for the ride, folks. So this is where the interesting parts of the comments come in. So all of you here are expressing your truth, which is for you. It may not be for everybody, right? So we have Loose Sapphire says, one does not require decoding to live their potential. Serving the will of the Most High is the only way. That's his truth or her truth. But is it a cookie cutter truth? No way. Can't be. If everything was supposed to be cookie cutter, we would all wear the same clothes, buy the same shoes, have the same dressers and barbers, have the same hairdos, have the same jobs, have only one religion. We don't have that because people like variety. People get bored. They like change. So there is no such thing as cookie cutter truth. If you're somebody who doesn't require decoding or you don't like to observe your code, great, go do that. But, you know, if you're willing to just let go, and surrender to, you don't have to look at your code, but if you look at it, you'll see you live in you're being scripted. But if you just disconnect and you start to get out there and live your life and you start to, for me, I'm all about nature and I'm here in Mexico, 2 blocks from the beach. I live a very simple life. I'm a minimalist. What gives me great pleasure is watching ants and spiders and feeding ants and spiders and feeding stray cats and feeding the stray dogs and watching the crocodiles. And that's what I do. So for me, break free, that's what it means for me for breaking free. Sitting on the beach with my feet in the sand, that's breaking free. Whatever that means. So Loose Sapphire says, not at all. Serving the one true master grants you the only path to free will. Again, that's your truth, my friend. When are you going to get to the realization that your truth, it's not cookie cutter, man. Just like my truth's not. So if you believe that there's only one way, then go do that. But to think that everybody has to follow your way is absurd. That is the most ignorant, absurd comment you could ever say. And I mean that with love and respect. But that would mean that you got it all figured out and your way is the right way and everybody else's way is wrong. And that's what we see in this world. That's why we have division in this world, because there's over 10,000 religions because somebody didn't like the way the first one was, or somebody didn't like the way they were doing this, or somebody didn't like that. That's what causes division. That's what causes negative energy, and that's what keeps you in your lower chakras. So if you just go do you and I get to go do me, we don't have any division anymore. And that to me is what causes and creates a utopia. If you think your truth's the only truth that matters, you're going to cause a dystopia because you're going to have people fighting against you, which is what this whole machine wants anyway. It wants division. It wants chaos because that's what it feeds off of. So you figure out what you want, you figure out what you want to do, and then go freaking do it and own it, and you don't need to defend it. You don't need to step on anybody's toes. Just go do you. That's what's going to make you stronger. The best athletes in the world don't go out there and try to prove another athlete wrong because they're running a certain way and you're not running the way I'm doing it, or you should be wearing these shorts because they make you run faster, or you need to work out my way because my way is better. That's absurd. Pro athletes go out there and they look at other people and that's their competition. So yeah, they're going to strive better, but they don't need to prove themselves. When you know, you know. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to eat. I wanted to keep this thing short. I really appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Even if again, you don't have to agree. I don't agree with everything I say. Be a skeptic, but don't just dismiss what I just showed you if you don't understand it, because that's ignorance. Don't just dismiss somebody's truth if you don't understand it. We're all ignorant. I mean, I couldn't go to the jet laboratory and go start working on rockets. I don't have the knowledge to do that, but I'm not going to say that's wrong. I just don't know it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna leave this presentation off where I started. I'm gonna play this short video by Werner Erhard from Landmark Worldwide, the founder and creator of that program, Amazing Mind. And this, I'm inspired by this man because I've done the course 4 times, but so he is an inspiration to me. He has inspired some of these layers of my truth, but then doing the research and all that kind of stuff, I've really kind of figured out for me how this reality works. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play this. I'm going to send all of you a ton of love. Thank you so very much for supporting this work. And please go subscribe and support Jason's work. Big shout out to Jordan. Big shout out to Santos. I love all these people. Don't care about what they're doing, but I do care about what they're doing. I mean, I really, really send out a ton of love to everybody. And I hope everybody has the most amazing 2024. So ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. Until next time, we will see you later.
So what is it that drives our life? What is it that drives our identity? That's the question at which we're going to look. What kind of a being is a human being? See, most of us don't give much thought to it because we think it comes with the territory. We think, yeah, I'm a human being and I'm using being to get along in life. I mean, I'm a human being and I use all those faculties that human beings have to accomplish the things I accomplish in life, to conduct my relationships, to do my job, to pursue the concerns I have in life. Well, there's some bad news about that. You see, human being was here before you ever showed up. Human being was here before you were ever thought of. Maybe, just maybe, human being, because it was already here and already had a direction, already has a thrust, already has a scope of possibility, just maybe, human being is using you. See, I know that you and I live that we're using being. But I'm asking you to consider the possibility that you showed up in human being. And it uses you in its direction and its thrust. You don't use it. It already was when you showed up, and it already had a thrust, a scope, a definition. It already was a certain set of options, and those options are using you. You see, we say in everyday language, I think. I say you don't think. And I want you to consider the possibility that you don't think. I want you to stand in that possibility. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not asking you to agree or disagree. I don't want to know what you think about whether you think or not. I'm inviting you to stand in the possibility that it isn't you thinking. Certainly there are thoughts. That's obvious. There are thoughts. Anybody who's alive and is human knows that there is thinking, that there are thoughts. I'm not asking you to consider the possibility that there aren't thoughts. I'm asking you to consider the possibility that it isn't you thinking. I'm asking you to stand in the possibility that it thinks and you have the thoughts. Now, if it's you thinking, if you're really committed to that it's you thinking, then you stop thinking. You notice you can't do that. That's because that isn't you thinking. It thinks. And you have the thoughts it thinks. And you live the superstition that you think. But you don't think, it thinks. And one of the things that it thought up is you. You notice it thinks a lot about you. You are one of its favorite things about which to think.